I'm simply a camel, a symbol of pure innocence, unjustly slaughtered, despite Allah's clear warning against such actions. I'll narrate my story from the place I originated in, where a tribe called the Thamud lived. The Thamud's land was so beautiful and green, with rivers and springs running in it. The people of that tribe were so skillful that they carved beautiful and spacious houses out of the mountains. Although Allah showered blessings upon the Thamud, they refused to worship Allah. Instead, they worshipped idols crafted from the stones they carved, becoming slaves to these stones. They were driven by their desires and engulfed in dreadful sin, thinking that death wouldn't find a way to reach them. As Allah does not wrong people at all, He sent a messenger to the people of Thamud. Among them was a man named Sali, who was highly regarded by his community. Sali addressed his people, urging them to worship Allah, and saying, "O my people, serve Allah, ye have no other God save Him."
وإلى ثمود أخاهم صالحا قال يا قوم اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره هو أنشأكم من الأرض واستعمركم فيها فاستغفروه ثم توبوا إليه إن ربي قريب مجيب.
However, the tribe faced Sali's message with laughter and doubt. Days passed and turned into weeks. The wealthy members of Thamud feared for their position as they saw that some of the people inclined towards Sali. The rich said to the poor, "This is nothing but a mortal like yourselves. Who eats what you eat and drinks what you drink? If you obey a mortal like yourselves, you will be losers. What? Does he promise you that when you are dead and become dust and bones, that you will be brought forth?"
ثم أنشأنا من بعدهم قرنا آخرين فأرسلنا فيهم رسولا منهم أن اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره أفلا تتقون. وقال الملأ من قومه الذين كفروا وكذبوا بلقاء الآخرة وأترفناهم في الحياة الدنيا ما هذا إلا بشر مثلكم يأكل مما تأكلون منه ويشرب مما تشربون ولئن أطعتم بشرا مثلكم إنكم إذا لخاسرون. أيعدكم أنكم إذا متم وكنتم ترابا وعظاما أنكم مخرجون هيهات هيهات لما توعدون إن هي إلا حياتنا الدنيا نموت ونحيا وما نحن بمبعوثين إن هو إلا رجل افترى على الله كذبا وما نحن له بمؤمنين.
Sali persistently warned the people of Thamud, asking them not to worship idols. But they refused, saying, "Sali, we thought that you would become one of our great men and nobles."
قالوا يا صالح قد كنت فينا مرجوا قبل هذا أتنهانا أن نعبد ما يعبد آباؤنا وإننا لفي شك مما تدعونا إليه مريب.
Sali kept on giving advice to his people, saying, "I do not ask you for a wage. I advise you and convey to you the messages of my Lord." They said, "You are one of the sorcerers. You are only a mortal like us, so bring a sign if you are speaking the truth." Sali asked his people with an open heart, "What sign do you want?" They said, "If you are speaking the truth, then bring out a miracle that prove your prophethood. Why don't you ask Allah for that mountain to split in half and a pregnant she-camel to come out of it?" Sali then asked Allah to grant their request, and so Allah fulfilled it. And thus, from the heart of a rocky mountain emerged a camel, which was myself. My birth came as a surprise, both to myself and to Sali's people. It was the astonishment of awakening to life after non-existence. I was one of Allah's miracles embodied in a camel. The people were astonished when they witnessed their request coming to realization. They whispered amongst themselves, their hearts stirred by the miracle unfolding before them. Sali addressed his people and said, "O my people, this is the camel of Allah, a token unto you, so suffer her to feed in Allah's earth, and touch her not with harm lest a near torment seize you."
ويا قوم هذه ناقة الله لكم آية فذروها تأكل في أرض الله ولا تمسوها بسوء فيأخذكم عذاب قريب.
I could not imagine how anyone could consider harming a miracle of Allah. I harbored no hatred toward any creature. I wandered through the city streets. The Thamud's dwellings were palaces and homes carved into the mountainsides. Days passed by. I was loved by the pious poor that followed Sali. They called me Allah's camel, whereas the leaders of the society called me Sali's camel. I welcomed the warmth and friendliness displayed by the believers. My affection for them deepened. Then I gave birth to my offspring, and the newborn captivated the people's attention just as I had done. I began producing blessed milk, nourishing thousands of starving individuals, seeking only their gratitude to Allah for this heavenly blessing. Allah the Exalted had blessed the milk to the extent that it covered all their needs. Towering above the others, my form was unlike any camel they had ever seen. Fearful of my size and strangeness, the other camels scattered whenever I approached the watering hole. Sali witnessed this disorder and said, "You will allow the camel to drink the water first, while you share of her milk. The next day you will drink the water, leaving the milk for the camel to nourish her young."
إنا مرسل الناقة فتنة لهم فارتقبهم واصطبر ونبئهم أن الماء قسمة بينهم كل شرب محتضر.
As time passed, I started to feel that I was surrounded by a wire of hate. Among the Thamud, there were those who adhered stubbornly to their disbelief. Their hearts hardened against the light of truth. A conversation between believers and disbelievers took place.
قال الملأ الذين استكبروا من قومه للذين استضعفوا لمن آمن منهم أتعلمون أن صالحا مرسل من ربه قالوا إنا بما أرسل به مؤمنون قال الذين استكبروا إنا بالذي آمنتم به كافرون.
Anger had filled the hearts of the arrogant disbelievers and was threatening to explode in their actions. In a moment of darkness, they conspired to put an end to the miracle that had brought shame upon their disbelief. In a historic assembly within the expansive hall of his castle, the chief of the arrogant individuals addressed the gathering. "The presence of a camel roaming freely has undermined our control over the tribe." Another interrupted, "The presence of the camel serves as a persistent reminder of Allah's sign and an affirmation of Sali's prophethood." The cruelest among them asserted, "We must eliminate the camel." A decision was reached to slaughter me. Under the influence of wine, the assembly transformed into a conspiracy, with all present collaborating in plotting this terrible act. What puzzled me most was my ignorance of the cause of their dissatisfaction. What wrongdoing had I committed to provide them with justification for slaughtering me? One night, as my son lay beside me, a profound sadness enveloped me. I asked myself, why do people in this world extinguish innocence? I sensed that it would be my final night among the Thamud people. An overwhelming feeling of awaiting destiny engulfed me. My end was near. The public had reached a treaty with 9 of the dreadful criminals in the city. They selected the most robust and ruthless among them and tasked him with ending my life. In the Quran, the murderer was described as their comrade, which means a friend of the ones who planned the crime. When their comrade entered upon the place where I slept, the sword in his hand was shining and his soul was blacker than the depth of night. I understood that I was going to die. The murderer raised his sword and brought it down upon my neck. He slaughtered me. The meaning of innocence remained forever slaughtered upon the earth. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the disbelievers stood triumphant, believing they had silenced the voice of truth forever. Upon discovering that the camel had been killed, Sali felt deep sorrow. He then addressed the people, "Enjoy yourselves in your homes for 3 days. That is a promise not to be denied." The 9 dreadful criminals in the city said, "We will kill Sali and his family at night. We will not be seen. So if we are questioned about it, we will say we don't know anything." But Allah protected Sali and his family. After 3 days, the punishment came to the Thamud. As the disbelievers woke up in the morning, there was a shout accompanied by a great earthquake. Their hearts were broken by the shout, and their houses were destroyed by the earthquake. It was a terrible day for the Thamud.
فعقروها فقال تمتعوا في داركم 3 أيام ذلك وعد غير مكذوب فلما جاء أمرنا نجينا صالحا والذين آمنوا معه برحمة منا ومن خزي يومئذ إن ربك هو القوي العزيز وأخذ الذين ظلموا الصيحة فأصبحوا في ديارهم جاثمين كأن لم يغنوا فيها ألا إن ثمود كفروا ربهم ألا بعدا لثمود.
Sali left the devastated city. Looking sadly at the remnants of his people, he said with profound sorrow, "O my people, I conveyed the message of my Lord to you and I advised you sincerely, but you do not love sincere advisors.